Hello, I will be breaking down my track again from my EP Lovesick. It's one of my most celebrated tracks as of recently, and I decided to break down the track just for funsies. This will be my first breakdown video on my channel, so yeah, let's get started. So the intro has a lot of layers to it. So from top to bottom, there is a saw lead in the intro, very reverbed out, very in the back. I'm sure some people have noticed it's playing in only the right ear, almost. It's panned to the right. So that's one layer. The second layer is I think a bit crushed piano. Could be wrong. It is it's a Sakura preset. Oh. So if you haven't noticed already, everything in this track is tuned down 48 cents from their original pitch, which I thought was a cool gimmick. Very inspired by Sizzy, and I think it fits the track well. Here, so very fast-paced ARP in a way. This idea was taken originally from another track on my channel. It was for a clip. So it has its own little melody up here. If I get rid of all, I don't know how to mute this. So yeah, it has its own melody here in the background, very subtle. After that layer, there is a sine chord layer. Sounds almost like a flute, which I kind of like. Yeah, very simple, just a limiter to keep the volume stable. And then the final layer with that is the vocals. These are reverbed out vocals with a lot of delay. This breakdown isn't too special, just a bunch of random drums that I slapped onto the project file. The only addition that I can really explain is this impact on almost every kick. So without the effects, very buzzy and very compressed saw wave. So there's reverb, EQing out the highs. There's a kilohertz dual delay. This is giving it just a more stereo texture. And then here, this is where that really weird whooshy effect is from. This is a kilohertz frequency shifter set to 6.67 hertz, as you can see here. The trick with that kind of lasery effect in a way is putting the mix at halfway in the mixer. So if I put it all the way, it'll sound very basic. But if I set it to half mix, that's how you get that weird texture. And I thought that was cool, so I just added it in there. After that, there's an all passes filter on Serum. This is, in my opinion, is a very underrated filter in Serum. I recommend a lot of people use it. Moving on to the build-up, we got my tag here to start. XUMA. Love my tag. XUMA. Say it again. Won't you say it again? Say it. Won't you say it again? Firstly, there's a plethora of new synths here in the section. There's Rhodes piano, or an organ. I don't know what the difference is. It's an organ. So here's the bass. So this is two of the same patches split into two. So if I solo this out, so it's just a Monster 8 with a filter and distortion and compression. Very simple. Here I'm cutting out this part because that's where the second bass comes into play with its melody. So this bass is holding the melody over here, which I'm peeking out right there. It's very noticeable when once you like pay real close attention to the build-up. Below that is, I think, a filtering saw wave. Under that, very plucky saw wave, which is following the same pattern as this synth in the beginning. And then here are where the vocals come in.
Say it again, won't you say it again?
I don't know how to mix vocals that well, so these are kind of raw. This vocal is from an older Cymatics pack. If I remember, it was called Lucid. If I drag this in here.
Say it again, won't you say it again? Say it again.
Of course, I pitched it up and added my own little effects on it. Drums, not really too special. This is a guest ride. I don't remember where I got this. And there's not much else. It's just a bunch of effects. There's a horn that's playing, that's following the root note of these chords up here. Here, very basic filtering synths with the Rhodes still kind of bleeding into this section. Then this is just, I think this section over here, just kind of sampled out and then filtered. Very simple, not too much. And then here's the drop. So the first drop is comprised of 3 layers. There's the lead, there's the sub, and there's the chords. As you can see, there's a lot of processing that goes on between all of these. The first, what I'll do is solo out the lead and the sub. So this lead, not very special, it's just a saw wave. Filter it out with a bunch of stereo things and compressed. So if I turn all of this off, yeah, it's a very basic saw wave. I compressed it, I EQ'd out the lows and softened the high end, and I kind of gave it this mountainous structure here in the EQ. Here's the sub. So it's I don't know what this means, but I kind of know how it works. I compressed it with Soundgodizer. I EQ'd out a huge chunk of the mids. I dispersed it. This is just a free version of the kilohertz disperser. I routed both of those into this channel right here. So the first thing I did was distort it together. So if I take off all of this, you can see how this tube distortion is kind of blending in those two sounds together. Then right after that, there is an all passes filter. Got rid of the low end here in this EQ. Boosted the noise and the tone of the bass. That's the lead. Here are the chords. So this is just saw wave filtered out and compressed. Nothing special at all. Another mountainous EQ structure. It was really muddy here in the low mids area, and I was afraid it would have clashed with the lead, which is also playing in this low mid area. And here is hyper, just kind of making it a little bit stereo. This chord stack is also being processed with the sub. This right here is where everything is happening. There is another disperser. And then here, this carve EQ is getting rid of stereo sub frequencies. You can see there are no sub frequencies in this yellow visualizer here. Yeah, completely mono sub. And after that, there is another all passes filter. Here I'm getting rid of the low end and boosting it a little bit. Then that's kind of it. The sub on its own, I routed it to its own track here. Nothing special at all. This is an automating reverb mix. And that's about it. Everything is being routed into this channel, which is just a bunch of effects. Tape stops, we got more tape stops, we got reverbs, more reverbs, and a modulating filter. Here's a short little breakdown. The same art from the intro kind of pops back in for this section. And there's this here. Very messy. I don't know why I did this. So we have these two bells playing the same melody on top of each other. Here is K1V preset. Nothing too complex. Here's a little flute arp thing that a lot of you might not have noticed. Kind of hard to notice in the mix. So here I just added Reese, another lead, and some filtered drums. So for this kind of build-up section, I got a little bit lazy. I just took the lead melody or the bass melody from the first drop and I made this kind of filtered out version of it. And here there's like some ambience effects on top of it. Yeah. So for the second drop, I added a tiny fake out, just using the basses from the first drop. And then here, there is this kind of, this melody over here. So this is very inspired, again, by Sizzy's bass design. The best way to describe this bass is that it's thinly sliced. There's a lot of like piercing frequencies in it. So this is just a bunch of samples thrown together. So there's this the kind of root note thing. After that, there's this kind of, there's the transient layer. Just giving it that kind of sharp texture. And here's the second note to this bass. Then I'm putting everything through convolvers and some EQ. Post-processing, it just kind of a lot of things to just make the sound louder and a lot more fleshed out. So first thing, there is a soundguidizer, as always. There's a disperser, as always. Then there is another serum effects. Here it's doing, I'm adding a lot more stereo to it using the hyper section of this, and another all passes filter. Right, these two EQs up next to each other, just kind of boosting the I guess quote unquote gun and its tones. I actually don't know why this notch is here, I'll be honest. After that, there's a tiny bit of reverb. just to give it more space. Then another EQ up here. This is our normal sub bass, nothing too special. If I can find the so I'm routing this sub into 2 different channels. I don't know why. So I'm running this channel to this. A lot of dipping EQ here, just cutting out a lot of it. And I guess there's 2. I don't know why I did this. Could have done them in the same processing patch. Both of those sounds together make the main bass sound for the second drop. On top of that, I think there is a sustain. So this is kind of a little hard to notice in the actual track, but just a really growly bass under everything, and just to give it a lot more high-end texture up here. And everything else is kind of the same. Got the vocals. We got the same drums from the first drop. This time there's a repeat and crash on every chord note. And there's this tonal layer that plays on every clap. Then the fills, I don't know where I got this Netflix sample. I think I might have just scavenged a sample channel in a Discord server. So sorry Netflix if you're seeing this, but you make great samples. Here's a cool bass sound. The way I'm doing this in Vital, using the key track feature in the LFOs. And the cool thing with this key track feature is, well, it tracks your keys, tracks what note you're playing. So I could change like the frequency of this however I'd like by just changing this number here. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's the same thing as... It's basically the same thing as this first half of the A section. The only difference is that the bass, the gun, the root note is just playing a different note just to kind of... And after that, there is this very long stretch of sustains and basses here. So for this section, I kind of focused the main point on the lead instead of the chords. Yeah, this lead is a lot more present in its note. It's a lot stronger, and the chords are still there. It's just kind of hard to get noticed with this like really loud lead over it. That's kind of it. It's a pretty simple track. I guess there is a sustain kind of rising up. Yeah, very, very basic sustain. Just a really fast moving sine wave. So this is the same bell from the breakdown here. So a Reese comes in here in this outro alongside the intro sine chord. But after that, there's not a lot. That's kind of the whole track. It's a very simple track. I'm happy that it got as popular as it did. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Here at the end, I think this is this a scrapped second drop idea. Didn't really work out that well. I'm glad I stuck with this. But yeah, that's kind of the whole breakdown of this track. It's a very simple track. It's a very, I guess, unique approach on the future rhythm sound. Future bass sound, and I'm really proud of it. Yeah, that'll conclude this video. Hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and maybe I'll break down another track in the future. Peace.